I had a guy that his commission was like $1 million commission. I'm like, you're going to post that? He's like, nah, man, we don't do that.
Right.
We don't do that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Break It Down with Braydon. Super excited. I got Chey Castro on here today. Chey, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, bud. Yeah.
Chey and I have known each other for several years, but just kind of really, I guess, kind of connected over the Waste Management Open a little bit and kind of got to bond a little bit over that and got to know you pretty well over that. And it's been kind of fun. We played golf a couple times since and doing some pretty cool networking stuff together. And tell everybody a little bit about yourself, Chey.
Well, I'd say that's the power of golf right there. That's why so I've been playing golf my entire life, and it's so good for building relationships because it shows your character, and you learn a lot about someone, their temperament, everything on the golf course. So
very true.
It's some of the best ways I meet clients and keep clients throughout the years is play golf with them. I try to play golf with a client once every 2 weeks if I can. Yep. And it's just a great way to keep that relationship going. So
it's my favorite thing for a pastime or activity to do and take people out and share that experience with them and everything. It's
absolutely
it's amazing.
So you want to know what you want to know? Everything?
Tell everybody about yourself. So however, I mean, you're obviously a real estate agent. Been cranking it for I think 20 years, something like that. 18 years.
18 years. Oof, that was quite fast.
Yeah. Who are you with, and how'd you join them?
Okay, so I'm with eXp Realty. Yep. And I've been there only about 6 months now and freaking loving it. And like everyone says, I wish I would have came earlier. And I wish I did come earlier because I had a lot of opportunities throughout the years to go there, especially about 2013 when they were first getting started. Only had 300 agents. And Brian Colhane and Glenn Sanford, the owner, the guys that started it, met with me at the Scottsdale Princess. And back then the stock price was worth like 30 cents a share and offered me 50,000 shares to come over, and I was like, I don't want it. That's only, whatever it is. Right. And those 50,000 shares are probably worth a couple million right now, at least. So anyway, but I'm happy I'm there now. But I was born and raised here in Arizona. My parents met at ASU, so I've been a Sun Devil since I was a baby.
Born a Sun Devil.
Born a Sun Devil, baby. Bleed maroon and gold, baby. Spent the best 5 years of my life there at ASU, finance degree. Had a lot of good times. And then went to Notre Dame for grad school, got a master's in accounting. Both my dad and mom were accounting majors. They both are CPAs. Okay. My dad had his own accounting firm. Yep. And so that was like kind of drilled into me. My mom says, I have two older brothers, and she used to read like baby books to them, but to me, she was studying for the CPA. So she
too funny.
She was reading, studying this for the CPA when I was a baby. So I got a lot of that in my head subconsciously. But, I did Ernst Young for 3 years, an auditor, and this was 2001 when real estate market was hot here in Arizona like it is now. Yep. I mean, I had buddies that had barely graduated high school. Some of them didn't even graduate high school, but they got their real estate license and were making tons of money, like 10 times more than I was. I was making $39,000 a year, working 80 hours a week, doing audit work. Busy season was crazy. And I'm like, dang, these guys real estate agents I should get into that. Yep. And a lot of those guys aren't in real estate anymore. But but anyway, so it's kind of all over the place. But after 3 years at Ernst Young, I had interned with DMB when I was at ASU. Okay. I was an intern, and it was the craziest internship of my life.
Big developer, right?
Big developer. They developed all DC Ranch and Silverleaf. And when I was at ASU, like DC Ranch, the golf course was just getting built. The clubhouse was built. Yep. Silverleaf clubhouse was not even built yet. It was getting built. And
what year was that actually? Because I was talking about that the other day with
1998.
98. Okay. The clubhouse was built in 98.
Yeah, okay. I believe. Don't quote me on the exact date, but it was around there. Okay. Because what I remember is, as an intern, I got great exposure. It was DMB stands for Drew, Mark, and Bennett. The first names are Drew Brown, Mark Sklar, Bennett Dorrance. Okay. And Bennett Dorrance is the heir to Campbell Soup. And he financed the whole kind of thing. They call it the Bank of Bennett. Like, he financed it, and they partnered with the Marley family, who owned all of the DC Ranch land. Okay. And instead of just buying their land, they partnered with them. Yep. And they created a LFP, a life cycle financial plan, and said, we're doing a split, 60-40 split. You bring the land, we begin development, and then look what it turned into. Yeah. Smartest decision that family's ever made. I mean, if they would have just sold the land, they would have made a lot of money. Yep. But to partner with DMB and then to build what they built is just absolutely incredible.
Probably tenfold what they would have made. Yeah.
And, it was a great experience in real estate. I look back now and we can talk about this later, but I'm a firm believer in God, and my faith is so strong now. But back then I didn't have it, but now I look back and God planted all those seeds. He was doing all that. Like, he saw me. Like, I remember just like it was all dirt. And I remember as a senior financial analyst, I had a great title. I had my education. I had my Ernst Young. Good bonuses. Like, I had what I thought was going to be my career. And it was a CFO, it was a director of finance, and then myself. And it was a crazy. I thought this is it.
Yeah.
I mean, our office was right here at Gainey Ranch. And they D&B owns the Village Health Clubs. So every lunch we got to go to freaking the Village and play basketball and work out.
Living the life.
I was living the life, man. But I don't know. It's just crazy. But
building the nicest homes in Arizona.
Well, it was all dirt back then, and they were selling lots. And I got to meet with the developers of Arcadia neighborhood of Silverleaf. I was in the room as an intern, and then later on when I worked there full time, of what Arcadia, that neighborhood. It's 200 custom lots, and I remember they're thinking, what should we name this? It's in Silverleaf, and one of the partners lived in Arcadia in Phoenix.
Okay.
He's like, why don't we call it Arcadia at Silverleaf? We want that neighborhood of custom homes and uniqueness with parks. There's 3 beautiful parks in there, and I saw that thought become what it is now. I mean, you drive through Arcadia at Silverleaf. There's some of the. I just sold the one we sold. $5.5 million, and it's $5.5 million. Like, I can't believe that's what those houses are selling for. And it's like, but I saw what it was. I mean, it was just crazy. And people think the market's crazy now, but back then, all 200 lots in Arcadia sold in 1 week, and it was a lottery system. It was
1 week.
1 week.
No way.
It was. I remember it like yesterday. People stood outside the Silverleaf sales office. I was I didn't know what the heck was going on. I was like, what is going on? People would come, and a lot of builders and specs, and because it was, remember back then there was no stated income, 0% down, interest only loans. Like, that's why the whole crash happened.
Breathe here. You get a loan. All right, cool.
So they were buying a lot for $1 million, and then during the escrow, the 3 things, they would resell it for $1.5 million, and people were making $500,000 in 30 days with
just flipping the lot,
flipping dirt. I mean, it was insane. So, like, I saw that from the beginning, and we, as a developer, D&B, we provided the sales team with all these brand new Range Rovers. We had the first G-Wagon in Arizona, those Mercedes G-Wagons, before they even came out. Like, we had one.
I remember going and touring the lots with my family, and it was kind of wild. We'd hop in this Range Rover. It's like brand new Range Rover. It's got like all the cool technology in the front. And it was pretty neat.
So I'll kind of go all over the place, but after I was there as a senior financialist, I became a sales assistant at Silverleaf. That was my transition. I'll tell you the whole story of that, but I was making 6 figures doing all this. The senior financial analyst had the title, and then I became a sales assistant making $39,000 again. Like, it went from up to all the way there. And one of my jobs was to clean those Range Rovers. I had to take them to the car wash and get them cleaned and get them all shined up. But,
too funny.
But I did that for 2 years as a sales assistant, and it was humbling.
It gives you a leg up on knowing the communities and the people involved and everything.
Well, that was the deal. Like, it was 2006, 7, and 8. 2008, yeah. And the market was still hot, and then the market crashed. But I'll kind of back up. When I left the senior financial analyst position to interview for the sales assistant, I was kind of like in the meetings with the sales manager, going over their variance analysis, absorption rates on their lot takedowns, everything. And I was kind of running the meetings, and then I was applying for a job as a sales assistant there. And the manager was like, "What the heck are you doing here? Like, why? Well, you're way too overqualified to be an assistant. It's like a sales assistant. We're only paying $39,000 a year, and I was making 6 figures.
We'll happily give you that.
Yeah. and so he asked that question. The second question is like, why the hell would we hire you? You have no sales experience. And this, at the time, it was the #1 sales office in Arizona. I mean, they still are killing it. I mean, they're just amazing people. And the beautiful thing too, all those people that were there 15, 18 years ago are still there. The same sales team, and that is a testament to how great of a community it is. I mean, those guys are awesome people, and I never burn bridges. If I see them, I'll hug them and say hi to all of them. Like, it's just a really cool vibe. And so Jeff Beardsley is Debbie Beardsley's his husband, or the husband and wife. And then Andrew Beardsley's their son. Jeff Beardsley goes, "Why the hell would I hire you?" And I go, "Well, Jeff, it's like teaching someone how to play golf. You want someone who's never played before, so you can teach them the right way."
Right.
And he loved that answer. So he hired me. So I did that for 2 years, and the goal was to become an agent, be an assistant for 2 years, and I got so good at it. I mean, I was answering the phones, I was up front. They would have walk-ins. I mean, Salcedo built the most beautiful home. You saw that custom home as a sales office. And it was right there off of Thompson Peak Parkway, and people would just come in all day long, and it was all ups. So I'd be up there. Someone would walk in, hey, we're looking for lots, we're looking for houses in Silverleaf. Like, hold on a second, let me go get a salesperson, and it was just they were up on rotation.
He's still the biggest builder in there, right?
Salcedo? Oh yeah, he's
like by far.
He's I would say how do I say this? He's I don't want to say the best because it's his personal preference. But what I love about him, and he'll go in. And I've introduced him to clients and stuff, and he'll say from the beginning, "I'll be the most expensive, but like you're gonna get
quality product.
Quality product, yeah.
You know what you're getting."
And I sold one of his houses. It was a house that he built for himself, lived in it, and then sold it. And then I was like the third sale in it, but it sold for $7.5 million, very high price per square foot because it was a Salcedo built home. I mean, and
you know what you're getting.
And I represent the buyer, but in the description it said Salcedo built home. Like that was the first sentence in the description. Like people say that because he's a great builder, and it requires that high price per square foot. And we got to meet him on the closing. He got to come in, meet with the buyers, and now he's managing the house for the maintenance and everything. So it's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's incredible. Obviously, you've had a lot of success in Silverleaf, which you kind of attribute to your history and kind of your background with the developer and stuff, kind of giving you a leg up.
Absolutely. Like I've had, I try to, just tell my experiences from a finance part. Like I saw when it was all just dirt, and what they did incredible as a developer. They back then legacy was a big part of Drew, Mark, and Bennett. Like they want legacy. So they want people that own lots in there to have privacy and views. And so they did such a good job, and I don't think it would ever happen now because like. I don't want to say greed, but there's a lot more greed now, it seems like, than there was back then. Back then, they would say, okay, this lot, we're going to make it 5 acres. The building envelope is only going to be such and such, but we're going to make it 5 acres, so this side will never be
unobstructed views.
Yep. How beautiful is that? I mean, I saw that firsthand when Drew, Mark, and Bennett and the executive team were planning that out. And they could have been greedy and said, "No, we're going to make this 1 acre, and we're gonna sell 5." Yeah, because they were selling for $1 million an acre, man, and building envelope wise. So it could be a 10-acre thing, but it's only going to sell for $5 million. Or they could break that 10 acres into 10 different acres and sell for a lot more.
I think that's the sexiness of Silverleaf is you don't feel like you're on top of everyone.
100%.
You've got these massive houses where they're still like, I mean, some of them where you drive in the gate and it takes you just as long to get in there as it does to drive anywhere else.
Yeah, and that's on purpose, and I love that you said that's the legacy part because you can't break those up. Those are the lots, and that's what it is, and that's when they developed it. And how genius is that to do that long ago, 20, 30 years ago? I have that idea. Because now I'm sure if a developer came, especially if a developer from out of town came, they would it'd be all over each other because the property is so freaking like a good example. Wingate Ranch. I love Wingate Ranch, but those houses are boom, 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 boom. I mean, there's no setbacks. There's no.
Well, there's some portions of DC that are kind of the same way. I'm just like, this is nice, but also I don't want to be on top of somebody if I'm buying a $2 million, $3 million house.
And that's the beauty of it. Like DC Ranch and Silverleaf are the same master plan communities, and DC Ranch was phase 1 and 2.
Got it.
And they learned from that, and then Silverleaf was the third and final phase. And they learned from it, and then best practices, and one of the things they did at DC Ranch that they changed at Silverleaf. DC Ranch, everything is the same address, 9290 East Thompson Peak Parkway, and it's unit number.
Got it. Yep.
So I used to live behind the guard gates, and I'd be at unit. They're like, apartment? No. This is a house.
I swear I have a house.
I have a house. Yeah. So, and man, ordering a pizza or Uber.
Right.
Like, so what apartment? No, it's a house. It's inside the gate. Yeah. So, so certainly
there's a gate
lot,
for your apartment?
Yeah. So every lot is their own address now, which I think is great.
Yep.
So yeah, man, it's crazy how I look back, and that's 20 years ago. I mean, life goes by so fast, man.
Well, and you've had an amazing career, and you've obviously been doing really well the last few years for sure. And you've made a shift. So you went over from Russ Lyon to EXP. Mm-hmm. What was your reasoning behind that?
Other than just betting on myself, the EXP model has always been there. I know it very well, and especially the last 6 months of getting like totally. I mean, we do trainings every week about explaining the model because, I'm not this guy that's trying to like, recruit. I'm not a recruiter. I just like wanted to explain to people why I think it's a great model. Because like I talked to my financial advisor about it. He's like, dude, that's genius. So he's like, why aren't most more brokerages like that? Because, you know, if you think about the traditional model, the broker is trying to recruit agents because they get paid off of agents splits. You know, it's all about the splits.
Right.
And you know, if I really boil it down, EXP is a $16,000 cap. It's an 80-20 split into that, and that's about $2.5 million in sales, which I did on my first sale, and then now I'm 100% commission the whole year. I give EXP nothing the rest of the year, for the next 12 months. But of that $16,000, $8,000 goes to EXP. That's all they take, and then $8,000 goes to my upline, the people who brought me over. And that's as easily as I can explain it, and I've been explaining that to other people, and just kind of naturally, I'm attracting agents in my, they call it in your downline, and it goes 7 layers deep. So if I bring you over and you bring somebody over and they bring somebody over, I don't even know that person, but they're going to be in my downline, and when they make a sale, I'm going to get a piece of that $8,000. Like, it's just genius. And it's all over the nation, all over, and we're going worldwide, and they're exploding. When, you know, like what I said, in 2013 it was 300 agents, and then when I came over there was 60,000. I've been there 6 months, and now there's 80,000.
It's impressive.
For a company to get 20,000 realtors in 6 months, it's insane, man. It really is.
The growth has been exponential. It's definitely impressive, and it gets a lot of bad misnomers, I think, of like, oh, well, there's a bunch of recruiters. But then if you think about it, a broker at any office, like you said, is technically a recruiter.
Yeah, 100%.
And so, like you said, if you're just helping people and understanding the platform and the value and what it can become, I mean, it really makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. And the other beautiful part about it is the collaboration. So, like right now, Haas Pratt, his name is Haas Pratt. He wrote a book called The Listing something, but he's a big lister. And I had dinner last week at Bourbon Steak with Brian Colhane and Christy Colhane, the ones who started EXP. And they're talking about how Haas Pratt became a born-again Christian like myself. I love testimonies like that. And now he's all about just kind of giving back, and like the Bible says, and like the universe works. The more you give, the more you get. And we just talked about that yesterday at our networking event. The more you give, God will see that, and He'll give back to you. And there's a book called Go Giver, one of my favorite books. You can read it in a couple hours, and it's just a parable, kind of like the Bible is all about parables. And it's just a story of a guy that just gives. And you don't realize at the end of the book, like, he's the one that's super successful, because you don't see him getting anything in the whole book. But the whole story is that he gets a lot. Because who doesn't want to give back to somebody that's giving you value and giving you something? So
absolutely.
And so like I because I'm going to be an icon, they call it, which means you hit a certain number. I get all 16,000 of that money I give back in stock. So that's my goal this year, every year that I'm going to be at EXP. So basically, it's 100% brokerage.
Doing enough volume, you're working there for free.
And you're working there for free. So I'm going to get that $16,000 back in stock. But as part of that, of my duties is to give. So, I was just on a Zoom, and there was like 300 agents on there from all over. And Brian Colhane led it, and he was just like interviewing me. And he's asking me questions, kind of like this, but I was just giving like everything I did to become successful in real estate. And I had people from all over the freaking country sending me direct messages being like, dude, thank you so much. Can you talk more? And I was like, absolutely. Like, it feels good. It feels good to give that stuff because you're actually helping people. And even if you're not in my downline, but you're part of EXP and you do well and you bring people over, it's going to make the stock go up. And I have a crap load of stock now. I mean, I would have had more back then than 2013, but I'm doing okay with stock. I mean, and so in the long run play, the more stock you get and the more the stock goes up, and it just becomes a very, you can't deny it. And the people that do talk crap about it, I think that's a good thing, because
they're still talking. Bad news is still news.
Well, and they wouldn't be talking about you if you didn't. Like, I learned that a long time ago. I remember I'm a people pleaser by trade, and I remember like I wanted all the agents to like me and everyone to like me. I still do. I play nice in the play box, in the sandbox, they call it. Like, because you have to, cross sell, and I have a good reputation in the industry. But like, I remember people liked me, but until I started doing good numbers, then they stopped liking me as much. Because you become
real competition.
You become a threat. And I learned that the hard way. But now I look back and like so it's just crazy, right? How that all works out.
Well, I think you hit it right on the head, though. I think the collaboration is one of the biggest parts about EXP because everyone has kind of bought in. I mean, you all are getting stock. There's a downline, and so there is, like you said, if rising tides raises all ships, and so
100%.
if someone comes over that doesn't necessarily go underneath you, but they then promote the EXP brand, that then helps you. And so there's just so many other ways that it makes sense for people to do it. And so
yeah,
I get it. That's for sure.
I get it. And there's some people at EXP that are a little overboard and over the top, and I try not to be that. I don't want to say overbearing, flashy type thing. Yep. That's never been my style. That was probably the hardest transition, going from accounting and finance into sales, real estate. Yep. I'm a total behind the scenes kind of guy. Like, I would never usually do this kind of stuff, or post a thing and all that. I was just like, if I could do it all over again, I'd be a commercial real estate guy,
right?
Because I have buddies that kill it.
One is more behind the scenes,
but
it's
you'll
not
never
flashy.
know.
Yep.
You'll never know. Like, I had a guy that his commission was like $1 million commission. I'm like, you're gonna post that? He's like, nah, man, we don't do that. Right. We don't do that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I love that. But as a residential, you have to, right? And it's. I wish you didn't have to, but you kind of do, because if you don't, no one knows,
right?
And you're not gonna get more business. Like, it works. So I try as my best to. It used to be all about me. Like, look what I did. Look what I did. I'm so great. And there's still a lot of agents like that. Now I try to always put, like, thank you, God, or God is good, or because of God, and then, give him the glory, because I realized.
Let's talk about that. So you've kind of shifted your mindset, I would say, the last three years.
3 years. I bet 3.5 years. Yeah.
So tell me about that. You've obviously have found God, and that's been a huge portion of your life.
Biggest portion of my life. The biggest blessing of my life. Like, the pastor that I go to, Impact Church, he said sometimes God needs to knock you on your back to finally look up. And that's exactly what happened to me. Like, I got humbled, and I realized I was trying to do life on my own, and you just can't. Like, this morning I just read Matthew 6:33. It says, "Seek first the kingdom, and all these things will be taken care of." Talking about, like, food and clothing and all that. Like the birds. It was talking about the birds. The birds, you don't see a bird have to store food, but every day they have enough. They have enough to keep living. And so, like, we worry as humans about, fear that I would have is like, if I get married and have a kid, I want them to go to private school. How am I going to afford it? And then you get all these thoughts in your head, like, because, dude, private school now is ridiculously expensive. And that's, obviously it's still a fear of mine. I don't even have kids, and I'm not married, but like I'm thinking about that. And that's what I used to think about. Like, and it would just, like, worry. But it's like, you got to just have faith. You got to have faith over fear, and go to God. And like, like, my happiness, man, was all on if I made a sale, I'd be the happiest guy. People thought I was so positive. But if something bad happened in business, I was a piece of crap. I was so negative. And so, and not to other people, but to myself. I was always just super hard on myself. Like, I went to a business coach, and he was trying to, like, motivate me and give me tough love. I'm like, bro, I got to tell you, you're not half as hard on me as I'm on myself. So don't even try. You know what I mean? But that's not good. It's not good to be that hard on yourself, because God doesn't want you to be like that. You're his child. He loves you. So he wants you to be happy. And so I do now get my joy and my peace through him. And it's like, first seek the kingdom. Like, every morning I wake up and I just go to God. Like, I pray to God. I go to the steam room. I have a steam room at my place. I meditate. I pray. And I say, when I meditate, when I pray, I'm talking to God. When I meditate, I'm listening to God. And I just try to get quiet with him. And man, it is insane.
You doing that every morning?
Every morning.
Cool.
And so that Matthew 6:33 about first seek the kingdom, it's about seeking God first in every part of your life. So in time, that's why I go to him first. And then my day just seems to just go. It's not like everything happens. Like, there's still a lot of crap that's happened to me in the last 3 years. I mean, stuff that used to bury me, that would just set me back and take me on a bad path for a couple months, where I'd just, be a complete, Old Town Scottsdale guy, and just, I kind of lose it type thing. But also with money, so my mom is Jewish. I'll start there. Okay. My mom is Jewish. I did the ancestry, and I'm 51% Jewish. Like, my mom is strong Jewish. My dad is Mexican Catholic, and came from that kind of family. So religion was always super confusing. Like, my dad's from Nogales, Arizona. Like,
Were you raised Catholic?
Tried. They tried.
Okay.
I tried. I did go to a couple things, and
Yep.
I was super uncomfortable. I went to Notre Dame to kind of please that side of the family.
Yep.
But like, I remember when I was in high school, I went to Catholic church with a friend, and because I wasn't baptized and did the whole thing, when I went up to get the communion, like they asked me that, and I said no. They said go sit down. Like, yeah, no, and it was like super embarrassing. I was like, and I didn't go back to church for 15 years. I was out, and so you know, and my mom's Jewish. I love like that side of the family. I'm like, it's more of like a culture, like, and my mom's thing because she grew up in it. And man, talk about upsetting your parents. So she was only allowed to date Jewish boys growing up. Like her family fled the Nazis, came to America, and we're in a little tight Jewish community and only date Jewish boys. She graduates high school, drives her Volkswagen Bug from Colorado to ASU, then meets my dad, and then lies to her family, says, I met a nice Jewish boy. And then, yeah, when they found out he wasn't Jewish and that he was Mexican, yeah, that was, and Catholic, yeah, that was all bad.
That's so funny.
But, so I guess my whole like what happened is like, I just found out it's about a relationship with God. And I go to a non-denominational church, which changed everything for me.
Yep.
Non-denominational just because it's like it's just a relationship. You walk in and they're not judging you, and but I remember going to that church and judging other people because I'd gone to Notre Dame and everything is proper.
Yep.
And you're dressed up and you're very formal and you're this, and then I go to that church and Impact Church, and the people are raising their hands and wearing shorts and sandals and T-shirts, and I'm like, what is this? What is this? And then now I'm that guy that has my hands up in the air.
Yep.
When I because the music, man, I go to worship music, like it is just like I went to Coldplay last week. That was amazing. That was kind of spiritual. Like Coldplay
Really?
is like some of the, like if you listen to lyrics and stuff, I mean it is kind of spiritual. Like I mean he had I forget what song it was, but he said, hey, I want everyone to turn your cell phones off or put them away, and we had these little glow wristbands that you do it, and just listen to the song and just be a part of me. Like that's what he was saying.
Yeah.
It was freaking total spiritual, man. That was a great concert, and I was gonna compare it to a couple weeks before that. I went to Hillsong.
Okay.
And Hillsong was at Footprint Center where the Suns play, and Coldplay was at where the Cardinals play. They were both equally as good, but I would say I would give Hillsong the up in it because there's a couple songs where you just like people's hands are in the air. Talk about no cell phones. I mean, hands in the air, tears running down there. They sang Amazing Grace. Oh my gosh, when they sing Amazing Grace, like it's just like the powers, man. I can't explain it. Like God was in that building, man. It was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Like, I can't explain it. Like it was so good. Like
the energy was real. Yeah.
The energy. That's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah, the Holy Spirit and the energy. So yeah, man. I'm all in with it, and it's the beauty of it. I go to Bible study every Wednesday night tonight, and so the guy that kind of runs it, called Bible study leader, I was talking to him like, because he grew up Christian, his parents were Christian, he has God, his relationship and walk with God is so strong, and and it's beautiful, and I go, dude, I'm kind of jealous that I don't have that yet. You have all that foundation, I don't. And he goes, well, let me tell you something, Chey. He goes, I have a lot of friends that grew up the way I did. And something happens along the way. And this happens in Catholicism, too. A lot of people that grew up Catholic. And I have a lot of friends that are like this, too. They grew up with knowing the Bible, knowing God, knowing who he is, knowing Jesus. But something happens. And they kind of blame him. And they kind of run away from it. And they, quote, unquote, know too much. And so they'll never come back. Because they're like, I talked to some of them. Hey, dude, dude, God is so good. Like this relationship, he loves us. It's all about love. I'm big on love. God loves us. And he's like, oh, no, I already know that. He's like, and then they'll start like, I know the Bible, and they'll start like saying like scripture. I'm like, dude, that's amazing that you know so much about the Bible.
Right.
But they don't see it that way. They see that they know too much and they know against it.
Right.
And so what Jason, the guy, he's like, the beauty of you, Chey, he's like, you're knowing it now, and he's like, you're never gonna not, like, because you're an adult now.
Right.
Like something didn't happen in my childhood where it goes around. So that gives me so much hope that the rest of my life I'm gonna be on fire for God. Like I already know it, and
it's exuding from you. To be honest, you could see
man.
it kind of the passion that you have for it every day, and just the different things that you're posting about. So
that and thank you for saying that. I had a girl and that I went to high school with, she sent a message. She's like, and because I had run into her, I invited her to a big event, and like we saw each other, you know, and she's like, I gotta say, Chey, like, I'm so proud that you're actually authentically in love with God, like that way you said it, because it's not a little thing. Like some people just do it and then they go away. Like, oh, no, I'm all in with it, man. And good, bad, and ugly. I mean, there's times where I'm like, dang, God, why did that happen? You know, but
sometimes people just find it at different times.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law is very Catholic, very involved with the church, and she kind of found it in later in life as well, and it's been a huge impact on her life, and she's trying to make it more of an impact on mine, and I'm trying to be more receptive to it, and
absolutely, brother.
Watching you and everything that you've done and stuff, honestly, it kind of makes opens my eyes a little bit.
Dude, I'll be honest, brother. I appreciate that, man. That means that right there means the world to me, bro, because it's like it's just like God's love, man. He freaking loves us, dude. Like he wants good. Like so I look at God like a dad, like a father figure. So I lost my dad 19 years ago, and like he's like, he loves you like you love your kids, like you love them unconditionally. Like, I mean, they might screw up, but you still love them, right? Like,
she could get away with probably anything she wants at this point, and I'd still love her.
Absolutely, and that's how God loves us. Like some people have said, oh, I've done too much. No, God loves you so much that He forgives you, and He loves you, and He wants better for you, and you know He wants good for you. He wants us to live an abundant, happy life. Like He wants that for us. Every single one of them. Every single person on earth. That's the thing that fascinates me. Like I can talk to anybody, a non-believer, the worst person. I still feel that there's something you can learn from each person you meet, because there's a God in, like, when we're born, God, we're His children. I mean, we're God's children, man, in this world. So I love that you said that, man. That means a lot, because I love that you're.
Well, and I think that'll, obviously you want to help, grow EXP and stuff, and I think that'll help a lot with that, as people will see your true nature, and that you want to genuinely help people.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about them coming over and being underneath you. It's about them actually helping you grow their business and flourish. And so it's.
And I'll say this:
it's cool that you actually are taking the time to do those things.
Absolutely. And I'll say this too: like, it's not even about growing EXP, because the revenue share and the people in my downline, that's just a part of what I do. Since I've come to EXP, my business has really taken off. Like, I'm doing really good numbers, and so real estate is still my number one thing, my passion, and selling houses, because like I just got this text from the client that you helped me, the ones that bought the house in Silverleaf. They bought it, they bought it 5.5, and a freaking lot next door to them, or down the street, sold for 1.6, and it's gonna be expensive to build on it. So they're like, this freaking house that's dialed in with a freaking slide and a pool and all that stuff is this price, but then just dirt is 1.6. Like, they're so grateful. So she sends me this whole long text, like, thank you so much, because there was multiple offers on it and everything. So I guess my whole point is, like, that kind of joy of helping somebody and being truly grateful makes me love what I do. And I'll always sell real estate. Like, I'll always be a real estate agent first. And the revenue share attraction, that's just part of the deal. But like what you just said, giving people an understanding of the love that God has, man, that's more than anything, bro. And I love that. You said your mom or your mother?
My mother-in-law.
Wow, dude, I love it. God bless her, man.
She is
planting the seeds, huh?
More involved than I've ever met anybody else, to be honest. It's pretty impressive how much she's kind of put her time and energy into it.
Yeah.
And
dude,
kudos to her for having done that, for sure.
And Catholic, they're such good people. Like, so I'm on the board of the Phoenix Notre Dame alumni, and they're all Catholic, and just the love that they have, they give back so much, man. The charity, and there's just like helping other people, and knowing that they're blessed and grateful. So why not be a blessing for somebody else? They always give back, and they're like, I mean, the Notre Dame people, like, they're so amazing and give back so much. Like, the amount of money that goes to Notre Dame's college, holy cow! Like, and it's just out of love that people love not only what the college did for them, but what the church did for them, what God did for them, that they just felt obligated to give back. And
I think that's why Notre Dame has such the reputation that it has today.
Absolutely. And so speaking about Matthew 6:33, about first seeking the kingdom, about putting God first I put Him first now in my life, I put Him first in my business, and I put Him first in my finances. And I do 10% gross tithe, 10% gross every commission. So like that big commission check, gross 10%, bro. The first time I had to do that, I was like, not had to do it, but like first time I did it. But now I do it out of joy, bro. It like gives me so much money because I realized that the money is not mine. That was probably one of the biggest shifts in my life. Money's not mine; it's all God's. Yep. And so it's not giving your tithe; it's bringing your tithe. You're bringing it back to God because it's His anyway. And then this is what we said in Bible study a couple months ago that changed a lot of things for me too. They go, God is your business partner, and all He wants is 10% and not 50%.
We'll just take 10. It's fine. That's amazing. Chey, this has been awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. For people that want to get a hold of you to talk about selling property, buying property, moving over to EXP, or just want to talk to you about your faith, how can they get a hold of you?
They can call me or text me 602-570-2516, or go to my website or my email. My website is cheycastro.com, CHEYCASTRO.com, and my email is chey@cheycastro.com.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on,
Thank
brother.
you for having me. That was fast, brother. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks again so much for sticking in for another episode of Break It Down with Braydon, and stay tuned. More to come. Thanks, guys.